Calvin Coolidge was President of the United States in the 1920s. The story is told that on one occasion he invited some friends from Vermont to dine at the White House. Now, they were a little worried about their table manners since they were going to be eating with the president, so they decided just to do everything the president did. So all went well until coffee was served. Instead of drinking his coffee, Mr. Coolidge poured his coffee into a saucer. Well, the guests saw him pour his coffee into a saucer, so they poured their coffee into a saucer. Then the president added sugar and cream to his coffee. So did the visitors. Then President Coolidge leaned over and placed his saucer on the floor for the cat. I imagine his guests felt pretty silly at that point. We have to be careful what example we follow. I want to tell you about the one woman in the Bible that I see as a perfect example of a woman working for God. I doubt you could guess who it is. This woman is the Samaritan woman at the well. You may know the story of the Samaritan woman whom Jesus asked for a drink of water. It's in John chapter 4, beginning in verse 5. So he came to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near the plot of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied from his journey, sat thus by the well. It was about the 6th hour. A woman of Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink," for his disciples had gone away into the city to buy food. Then the woman of Samaria said to him, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a Samaritan woman? For Jews have no dealings with Samaritans." Now it was noon on a hot day, and Jesus was probably tired and thirsty from his morning's journey, just as we would be. And a local woman comes to the well to draw water, and Jesus simply asked her for a drink of water. But the woman asked Jesus, "How is it that you, being a Jew, asked me for a drink since I'm a Samaritan woman?" Now that was a double no-no. The Jews and the Samaritans did not have a good relationship, and a Jew would never ask a Samaritan for anything. And at that time, a man would not openly ask an unknown woman for a drink. But in the longest recorded conversation between Jesus and anyone in the Scriptures, Jesus uses this wonderful opportunity to teach this much-married woman about the living water. Let's begin reading again in verse 10 of John 4. Jesus answered and said to her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is who says to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where then do you get that living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well and drank from it himself, as well as his sons and his livestock?" Jesus answered and said to her, "Whoever drinks of this water will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. But the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water, that I may not thirst, nor come here to draw." After Jesus relates her own life story to her, including the fact that she had had 5 husbands and was now living with a man who was not her husband, the Samaritan woman realized that this man is someone special. Let's skip to verse 25. The woman said to him, "I know that Messiah is coming, who is called Christ. When he comes, he will tell us all things." Jesus said to her, "I who speak to you am he." This was the first time that Jesus openly professed that he is the Messiah, and he said this to a woman from Samaria. How blessed she was to hear this from his very lips. And then she did something truly remarkable. Now pay close attention. This is the part where she set an example for us to follow. Verse 28. The woman then left her water pot, went her way into the city, and said to the men, "Come, see a man who told me all things that I ever did. Could this be the Christ?" Then they went out of the city and came to him. This Samaritan woman, even with her reputation, immediately spread the word. It was too good to keep it to herself. The results are told us in verse 39, where it says, "And many of the Samaritans of that city believed in him because of the word of the woman." Did you catch that? Because of the word of the woman. She influenced the other Samaritans to believe in Jesus. This woman could have used many of the same justifications that we do today in an effort to excuse herself from telling others about the remarkable man that she met at the well. She could have said, "Well, the people back in the city won't listen to me. I'm just a woman. The men won't care what I say. My reputation is bad, as I've been married 5 times, and the man I'm living with now isn't even my husband. I don't have any social standing for them to believe me. Maybe I ought to wait and think about this and tell them later. Or maybe I ought to study up on it some more first." The other Samaritans might even laugh at me, poor uneducated me, trying to tell them something of this importance. Aren't those some of the same reasons that we use to explain our lack of sharing the wonderful news of Christ? But this woman that we might look down our noses at because of her marital history, didn't let anything stop her from spreading the good news. She didn't let her gender stop her. She didn't let her past stop her. She didn't let social dictates stop her. She didn't let fear stop her. Liz Curtis Higgs, in her book, Bad Girls of the Bible, wrote this: "She couldn't keep it a secret even if she'd wanted to. Her joy was too full. Her face was too radiant. Her heart was too changed. Sharing her faith with others wasn't a Monday night missions requirement. It was the unavoidable outpouring of a woman whose spiritual cup suddenly runneth over." We have the advantage of seeing the whole picture in the Scriptures, of understanding the sacrifice of the Messiah for our sins. Shouldn't we be as quick as this unnamed woman was to spread the word, to tell others the wonderful news of God's saving grace? We mustn't let anything stop us from sharing the way of salvation. Instead, we should follow the example of this woman.